Ben Carson. Ben Carson. This isn't on my sound sheet, so I don't know how to line it up.
It's like a congressional hearing that's been going on today.
But do you have the TI instrumental ready in case I want to lay down a track? I think you should find the TI beat. Because if something involves Candy, then I'm going to do the TI beat. But wait. Is it that he threw Candy under the bus? Yeah. Oh, then can you give me the Big Sean beat?
Which one?
I can't even repeat the title. It's the breakup song?
Tell me during while we play the song.
Okay. All right. This is Ben Carson today in a hearing, and we're just basically going off of the well-educated guess that he said something that didn't make any sense.
Been returned to the U.S. Treasury.
Okay, and this furniture was selected by your wife, is that correct?
A style and a color was selected by her.
Fabrics, that sort of thing?
With the caveat that we were not happy with the pricing and they needed to find something more. If anybody knew my wife, they would realize how ridiculous this was. She's the most frugal person in the world.
So when did you become aware of the pricing?
When the article came out.
When the article came out. Do you know Ada Rodriguez?
Yes.
And she certainly had the quote on the pricing. That was just never shared with you before this?
Like I said, I dismissed myself from this issue because I had many, much more important things to deal with.
Is your wife involved in any other decisions regarding taxpayer money or funding or purchasing at the
None whatsoever. And her question about all this was, can we buy used furniture? Why can't we buy used furniture? And we found out that we didn't have a way of doing that.
Okay. So lots of talk about the furniture and your wife. Does your wife have any office space or a HUD email?
She does not. My wife comes to my office when we have an engagement to go to so that we can go to it together. That averages it out to about once a week. My wife is a very friendly, gregarious person. She talks with staff. But she has nothing to do with HUD policy, no desire to have anything to do with HUD policy.
So last summer, you also allowed your son to help organize an agency listening tour in Baltimore against the advice of HUD ethics lawyers. Following this listening tour, did your son enter into any business relationships with any of the attendees?
He did not. He makes 100% sure that he stays arm's length away from any such things. I discussed the tour with him before. The reason he got involved in the first place is because they were having some difficulty discovering who the right people were to speak to in Baltimore. I suggested that he knew just about everybody there, and they should talk to him.
Have there been any other incidents when you've chosen to ignore the advice of HUD Ethics Council?
Well, HUD's Ethics Council suggested that it might look funny for my son to be there. I discussed that with him and left it up to him. I'm not a person who spends a lot of time
not politically correct
thinking about how something looks. I realize
I believe
that's not the way of Washington, and that's a lesson that I've learned.
I just took my son to the meeting. I don't care. My wife is a simpleton and an idiot. And if you understood who she was, you would realize that she wasn't trying to hustle a 30 grand dining set. Basically, my point is, Candy, I don't fuck with you. I don't really give a fuck. I've got $1 million budgets to cut, so I don't fuck with you. Candy trying to come in. She smiles at the staffers, wants a $30,000 dining set. I said we could get it used. So Candy, I don't fuck with you. Now I'm talking with some bitch from Massachusetts. Meanwhile, I should be privatizing buildings for my son, cutting the budget 70%. So Candy, I don't fuck with you. Look like a bag on TV. I don't holler at you.
I'm dismissing myself.
That's a good one, Ben.
I like that. I'm going to go up to Robert and say, I'm dismissing myself from all of this.
Yeah, well, did you see what Ben did? He just dismissed himself. I just dismissed I wasn't working with the Russian mafia. I dismissed myself.
That's how Corey, that's how Paul, I dismiss myself.
Those
from all
guys are
that.
idiots. Paul should have just been like, I dismiss myself. I wasn't laundering money. I dismiss myself. Oh, God.
Sometimes you got to know when to dismiss yourself.
That's
I fully dismiss myself.
I dismiss myself. My wife's an idiot. I barely know what's happening. I told my son this will create the appearance of conflict of interest. What do you think? And he was like, I don't care. And then we went and we walked like zombies through some buildings that we were going to make people homeless in.
My wife's question was, can we do this used? And they're like, no. And her second question is, oh, here's $30,000.
Her first question was, can we get this used? And I went, no, with a really exaggerated wink. And then she was just like, all right, cash money.
Mission, secret message received.
Yeah, secret. We have special code where she goes, hey, is it any way legally possible that we could get a used Ford Taurus? And I say no, and then we get a Bentley. It's our secret communication style. I love Ben Carson, man. Calling from a 5'3". I am increasingly convinced Carter Page is not the only one with the usual suspects act going on. Yeah. Ben Carson is an evil genius.
Yes, him and Betsy DeVos.
No, I think Betsy DeVos is just legit.
They
stupid.
have an Ayn Rand reading group. They get together every day after they do these appearances.
I think Ben Carson would be like, how is reading Ayn Rand going to help me make money? And Betsy DeVos is like, that's a little too complicated. Is there a Cliff's Notes of the dumbest novels ever written? You're calling from a 5...